Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to explain moderated mediation using Model-7 from the process macro by Hayes. As the title shows, moderated mediation, it simply refers to the operation that when we add a moderator to the mediation model. In mediation model, we have X mediator and the dependent Y variables. Then we add the moderator to the same model and it becomes moderated mediation. Moderated mediation or analysis using Model-7 will be explained in this lecture. Moderated mediation is the computations of the roles and impacts of 2 or 3 third variables with multiple roles by the same variable in an activity or function. Analysis are critical to understand the relevant contents of any activity from start to end, from X to Y relationship of the operational track, meaning that the activity which begins with X and ends with Y, on the way to Y, there are several third variables which can affect its mode, its intensity, its speed, or even its objectives. For instance, the connection of employee self-confidence with performance is dependent on the positive role of organizational culture. That is the explanation of mediation model. In our last video, we discussed that the self-confidence of an employee can play the role in his or her individual performance as well as organizational performance only when the organizational culture is supportive to apply the tools and techniques emerging from the self-confidence. For example, the people with high self-confidence take risks, they suggest creative and new ways of doing things, but if these things are not appreciated by the organizational culture, then the relationship of X with the performance will be different, it will be weak or it will be poor. However, it is also well understood that there are differences in the levels of self-confidence among officers and staff members. The mediation model used all the employees, both the officers and the staff, at the same level. However, we know that the officers and the staff members, they have different opportunities to use their self-confidence in affecting their performance. The officers, they have greater controls over the organizational resources, so they have better position or different position, higher position than the staff members to get the opportunity to use their self-confidence in really affecting their performance. So, in the mediation model, where the self-confidence of an employee needs the support of organizational culture to perform well, at the same time, this story is different from officer to staff. Every employee is looking for the support of organizational culture. However, the officers and the staff have different opportunities to get the help from the organizational culture and thereby infuse their self-confidence or the powers of their self-confidence into their performance. So, in this case, we can see that the mediation process is moderated by another third variable and it will become fourth variable in this model in affecting or in the effect of X on Y. Designation or this difference will obviously change the relation of self-confidence with both organizational culture and employee performance, or more precisely, it will change all direct, indirect, and total effects of X on Y. Today, we shall begin with one form of MM by measuring the role of designation as moderator on path A of a mediation model. Self-confidence, designation, and organizational culture affecting the employee performance are the Y variable. Its model will appear like that this is the mediation model, and it is affected by a moderator on path A. Moderators will affect this path as well, and as well as the C path, but in this presentation we are going to test how the moderator affects path A and thereby contributes to the direct, indirect, and total effect of X on Y through playing one or another role. In our example, X refers to self-confidence, M refers to organizational culture, Y is the employee performance, and W will be the designation of respondents. So let's move to the SPSS and compute the moderated mediation using process macro and Model-7, analyze, regression, process model. Our independent variable is self-confidence. Employee performance goes to the box for outcome variable or Y variable, employee performance. Organizational culture will take the place of a mediator, while designation will go to the moderator column. Further, we have to change the model to 7. We will also request for the effect size, Sobel test, and total effect models. And okay. Moderated mediation is something that refers to our most of the life activities, including the work environment. Now, the results of the moderated mediation are here. I have posted these results to the slides, and let's discuss them using the slideshow. Moderated mediation results. The first result after the application of process model is that this is the presentation of using Model-7 of Hayes, where Y is the dependent variable employee performance, X is the independent variable self-confidence, M is the organizational culture, the mediating variable, and W refers to the moderator, which we are testing in this presentation. Next, the first model, output model, is outcome is the organizational culture. Since we have placed the moderator on the X and OC relationship, X and M relationship, therefore, first output is about the outcome variable organizational culture, as the outcome variable are the dependent variable, and the independent variables include self-confidence itself, then the designation, which is working on the same path, and the interaction term, which we are used to in computing the moderation effects. So these three variables have been used to explain or predict organizational culture, and we can see the results that the p-value is far less than 0.05, so it is significant. R square is 0.5495. Around 55% of change in OC is coming because of these three variables. Next, the coefficients of all three variables are also given. We will start with the role of designation, which is negative as well as very powerful, with minus value, and the coefficient is 1.3936, which is powerful, but it is negative role played by the designation of the employees or respondents. However, self-confidence as a variable, as a predictor, it is significant. P-value is less than 0.05. Further, both the lower limit of confidence interval and upper limit, they have no zero between the lower and upper limits, so it confirms that the results are significant. T-score is 7.3, which is far greater than 1.96, and coefficient value is 53.53, which is huge. With reference to moderator, the moderator itself has negative relationship with the organizational culture. However, its interaction term is significant with coefficients of 0.38. T-score is also greater than 1.96. P-value is significant, and the lower and upper limits of confidence intervals both fall on the positive side, thereby showing that the results are the impact of interaction term on the organizational culture is significant. Next model from the procedure is where the employee performance have been checked as the dependent variable, as the outcome variable, with two predictors, organizational culture and self-confidence. We can see that R square is 0.49, meaning that 50% change in the employee performance is coming from organizational culture and self-confidence. The result is also significant because p-value is far less than the critical value of 0.05. Similarly, both OC and SC are playing significant role in bringing this change in the employee performance. We can see that organizational culture has the effect of 0.58. T-score is far greater than 1.96. P-value is significant, and likewise lower and upper limits are on the positive side, so there is no chance of zero between the two. So all these figures show that the role of organizational culture in changing the statistics of employee performance is significant. However, self-confidence has very weak coefficient or effect on the EP, though likewise its T-score is also less than the required 1.96. P-value is also insignificant, and here at the lower and upper limits of confidence interval, one value is minus, which means that there is zero, or zero is coming between these two limits. So all these statistics reveal that self-confidence is insignificant and it is playing very nominal role. only at the sample level in changing the employee performance. Now comes the last result showing the effects of X on Y, including direct effects as well as indirect effects. Direct effects of X and Y, we can see that it is only 0.0883, SE and T score is insignificant, P is insignificant, as well as the lower upper limits of confidence interval also are insignificant. So there is no direct effect or significant direct effect of X on Y from simple. Now we have used a mediator and a moderator to check whether these two variables are playing some role in the process of X affecting Y. The results are given here, that how far OC and the designation are affecting the Y variable along with the predictor. So mediator and dummy variable are the designation as dummy variable. It shows that when dummy variable, when designation is 0, then effect is 0.3122 and it is also significant. Both the values are positive. And it shows that when the designation is 1, it increases from 0 to 1, then the effect also increases along with the role of organizational culture. You can see that the effect when the officer is under discussion or when the designation is 1, then the effect of X through OC is greater than the effect of OC on designation with 0. Similarly, we can see that this effect of X through OC and dummy variable with value 1 is 0.5382, which is also significant as per the lower and upper limits of the confidence interval. To conclude our discussion on moderated mediation, I would suggest the students to keep in their mind that moderated mediation, as we have conducted in this lecture, is simply the extension of mediation model. In mediation model, we said that the self-confidence of employees needs organizational support to affect the employee performance or their performance positively. But in moderated mediation, we proposed and tested that whether or not this effect of X on Y, direct as well as indirect, changes when the designation is officer or staff. So we have found that as the same process is activated on an officer, the impact on employee performance is far greater than when the same process is used by a staff member. And we have already discussed that the difference is because of the differences are diversity of control over resources. Officers have greater controls than the staff. Therefore, the opportunities available for them are different. Officers can better use the organizational culture to affect their performance or to increase their performance as compared to the staff members. So we can give the last statement that when designation changes, indirect effect of X via organizational culture on Y also changes. So that is the end of this lecture. Khuda Hafiz.